following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Well, no, what I'm saying is someone's still going to win, and it might be if
I know
half the field, if just about half the field is playing badly, with golf, you can easily say, oh, the course must be hard. They're all playing bad. You know what I mean? It all kind of comes back to earth a little bit.
Sergio has been like, I can't wait to leave this place. Rah, 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 rah.
Yeah. Welcome everybody. Divots and Pivots. Another beautiful Tuesday night. We already have a drop in from Ryan McCarthy over from Belly Up. So thank you. Shout out the Duck. Yes, the Duck is here, and as always, joined by Bud. Look, everyone over on No Credentials and Corner Booth. They just all call me the Duck at this point, and it's cool with me. I've went my whole life being called the Duck, so it's here. That's why I embrace Mr. Mallard. But that's right, I am your host, Andrew LeDuc, a.k.a. Mr. Mallard, and joined, as always, by Bud Copeland at This Bud's For You. Bud, how are you this evening?
Your name literally translates to the Duck. I say roll with it.
Always rolled with it.
There's a very delicate balance one strikes after they turn 40. For the uninitiated, if I took my hat off, it'd show real quick. If I got closer to the camera, it'd show really, really quick. If we had like HD cameras and lights, then I'd start wearing makeup at this point. I'd have
to put my Yeet sunglasses on for sure.
Yeah, and there's certain thresholds I will never cross. I'll wear New Balance product. I'll never wear the white noobs. There's certain kind of like moral thresholds you can't get over. And I'm a huge sucker for a dad joke. But yes. I was just sitting there scrolling because I don't know if it's GIF or Giphy or whatever the hell the kids are calling it. GIFs. I've been corrected a million.
I think it's GIFs. I don't know though.
Barcelona. Barcelona. But I just sat there scrolling for probably 30 seconds, the entire intro and then your intro, trying to figure out the appropriate one to send. And it was for those keeping score at home, it was a Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage 1. Everybody else 0. So, and if you can lead off the evening with the Nicolas Cage reference and or GIF, I guess it's a gift to the world. Thank you. See, it's a coming full circle with the dad. No, it's been a hell of a week, dude. I don't know if you caught wind of this. The Dogs won the national title. The parade was this week. Very sad news in Athens. There was a tragic accident with one of the players and the recruiters, or the recruiting coordinators, whatever, but hosts. But I mean, it's one of those things. It's like you hate. Yeah, words can't. So I'm not going to try. Thoughts and prayers where they belong, and celebrations and cheers where they belong. A ton of players are leaving for the draft, but if anybody paying attention in the college football world, just hold your horses there, Junior, because we lost 15 guys to the draft last year, and I'm concerned to see what happens with the mailman exiting. Stetson Bennett I think he'll get drafted either late. Because back-to-back national titles, that kind of thing. It's like somebody will get him late and say, all right, come on, let's see it in real life.
I think the pros know enough to know that it wasn't all because of him on that team to where I think he's still like a 4th round draft pick or later kind of deal.
But to have a run like that at that level, that's the point I'm getting at, is that's going to get him a 5th, 6th, 7th round, nod from a team that's going to just say, come on in, we'll see it in person. You never freaking know, because I'll tell you what, Baker Mayfield's another one of them. Basically had to walk on, where was it, Texas Tech first, and then he had to get his way on at Oklahoma, walk on there, and then earn his way up. Stetson, same thing. You're too small. What are you? Is that a Budweiser?
Yeah, I always drink Budweiser.
No, but I mean, that looks like an old can.
No, it's just a normal one.
God, I haven't had a Budweiser in ages. So Stetson's told, pound sand, go elsewhere. He does. He goes to JUCO, comes back, comes to BSD on campus, and 2 titles later, I've been crowing and peacocking and throwing pot shots, because when take 3 steps back, 30,000 feet. There's 120 teams at that level. You know, to win one is nuts, let alone to go back to back. So yeah, I got a good friend of mine, and we're 6 minutes and 30 seconds into the show. Frank Fagan's his name, and he works out at a software company in Colorado called Campminder.
And 20. Meet him?
I just said this 6.5 minutes in. He's. I would characterize Frank as a friend. He was like a big brother type, definitely mentorish in our experiences together. He is one of the funnier humans to walk this earth. He is one of the more, I'll say, sharp, and I mean that both intellectually and with the barbs that he likes to throw. And he is a huge Florida Gator. I mean, he went to UF and then lived in Gainesville forever. And I remember that's where I was teaching and everything. And I had to endure living in Gainesville, listening to his BS when UF, you know, they didn't go back to back in football, but they went back to back in basketball while they were winning 2 out of 3 in football. So it really was, I understand why they were so freaking obnoxious, but now they can suck it for a while. It's going to Gaines Vegas. Sorry. I'm unapologetically still on cloud 9. Cloud obviously has a little
as you're allowed to be.
Yeah, a little bit of a not great lining, but all in all, things are good. And golf's back. I didn't pay much attention to the Hawaii swing other than
you won again.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's still close. Look, here's the bottom line.
I didn't walk away with it. That's why I didn't do too much shit talking other than, I mean, I felt good 45
I pulled it a little closer that final day. I wasn't enough to take the lead, but I closed the gap.
I was one of those kids. I had 2 older sisters that bullied the shit out of me. So I was not a good loser as a kid growing up. So I never really like the thought of bragging or trying to like talk garbage, you know, put myself that far out there emotionally. No. So that was a lot for me to even put out there, throwing the damn towel. But I started doing some math, and I mean, it was going to take, not that it's unthinkable. It happened last week, but it was going to take one of your guys going real low with a couple of eagles. And I just didn't see that in the cards.
Well, it ended up close enough to where really all I needed was David Lipsky to fall out of the top 10 probably. But unfortunately, we both ended up, for those that weren't following along with the tweets this weekend, we both ended up with 4 out of 6 making the cut. The big difference is that I had no one finish in the top 10. But had David Lipsky finish in the top 10. He finished tied for 4th, and that was really the difference maker.
And
if he finished outside the top 10, it might have been enough, that alone, to for me to grab the win.
And I do want to I've got the receipt somewhere. I was big on Lipsky a year ago, and it was actually Lipsky.
He was one of your favorites last year.
I loved him. Well, Lipsky and Aaron Rye from England. The 2 of them played in the team event down in Nolans.
That's when you really started. That's right. When they were on that team together, that's when you really started.
Something clicked, and I picked either one of them pretty much every tournament coming in some way, shape, or form, including my other league, which we're off to a rocky start. I'll give an update next week.
Yeah, definitely.
But David Lipsky had my attention. He still has my attention. I don't know if I'm going to lean into him this week because new field, a couple bigger names. We're back on.
This is a weird week. We're going to get into it, but it's a weird week.
And so, but yeah, here's to you, Lipsky. Here's to you, Lipsky. It sounds like somebody we hung out to in high school who either tragically something happened to him or he had the parents who made him go to the military, and you and I got away with all the bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I'm looking, for those looking at the camera, I might have to start wearing makeup for this show. I am looking quite shiny. I just can't get the lighting right here. It's just what it is. Anyway, side note, that was for sure. Let's talk about this week because this week's interesting for those.
Yeah, we didn't get into fantasy last week. Let's go right to it.
Yeah, so we want to make sure we get in there this week for you because there's a lot to talk about. This is, I think it's 2 weeks in a row now. We're going to have multiple course events. This is the first of that. There's 3. First of all, this is the AMEX Express. I just completely double did that. It's the American Express. Just sorry. But what we got here is we got 3. We got La Quinta, we got the stadium course, the tournament course. The 3 courses that they're going to be alternating between What makes that interesting is that each golfer is going to play each course once, which means this is a 54-hole cut. So every golfer in your lineup will get 3 rounds, which means scoring is going to be higher, a bit closer probably. If you miss the cut, you're only going to lose out on 1 round. But it does bring in a lot of other things to effect because La Quinta has historically played quite a bit easier than both the stadium and the tournament course. And I believe it's the stadium course that the final round is going to be on, if I remember that correctly. So stadium course will be where it ends. It's historically played the harder, tournament course right in the middle. But La Quinta has been the easiest, which then, of course, when we're talking 3 courses and guys playing them on different days, we'd have to pay attention to the weather. We got to pay attention to conditions on each day because, if one of our guys is getting the stadium course and the tournament course on 2 kind of bad condition days, that could be detrimental if it's playing even harder than it's already going to play compared to guys who are getting La Quinta on a beautiful, perfect day, then there could be a big swing in your lineup. So there's a lot of factors to factor in this week. And why not throw one more in? It's a Pro-Am, which means these are going to be longer rounds. Guys are going to be taking their time, taking advantage of the extra time that they're allotted because they're playing with somebody else. It's going to be a very interesting week for sure. So first of all, I'm curious, but what are your thoughts on these multi-course tournaments? Are you a fan of them, or you prefer we just keep it to one course, keep it simple, straightforward?
David Detweiler was my tennis coach, and he imbued the KISS method into me because I was a monster of a tennis player, no control. And he would just say, keep it simple, stupid, keep it simple, stupid. I grew up and find out that's like from AA or some shit. But I like one course, 4 days, let it rip. I don't mind this once or twice. I really don't. Any more than this, and you're going to lose me. It's kind of like the team event in New Orleans that we were just talking about. I could see team event. I could actually see a couple more of those coming in, and maybe like a season-long team series, and you got 4 of them. But that's like that's like 2030 vision. We'll bring it back here and actually go backwards to 2012. This tournament used to be 5 days. It used to be 5 rounds.
Yes,
they would do 4 rounds with celebrities, and famously Tiger never played it because of this. Things like that where it's just not worth the beating. And so in 2012 they shortened it down to 4. I was thinking earlier when you referenced the AMEX Express championship, which it is just the American Express. It used to be the Desert Classic. It used to be the Bob Hope everything. There's this, and there's Pebble, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, which you think about 2 classic American icons. You got Clint Eastwood, who basically owns Pebble Beach, and you got Bob Hope, who's associated with this event down here. But earlier, when you were a little redundant, people say the La Quinta Country Club. Well, La is, it's like the country club. No, but yeah, scores are going to be low at La Quinta. So if you're playing, look out for your lineups, and you want to have your horses really kind of firing on those days. The Nicklaus course at PGA West is accessible. The rough's really not going to be penal, and I just want to say penal. It's not going to be penalizing really at La Quinta or at the Nicklaus course. So that's where people are going to go low. You could see maybe the winning score in the 20s again. But PGA West, the stadium course, the championship course, the Dye's Revenge is no effing joke. I mean, it's legendary because after he did the stadium course in Ponte Vedra, they said, all right, PGA, we need to go coast to coast. Disney World's got Disney World and Disneyland. We got to do it too. So they create PGA West, and they say, make the hardest course you possibly can. And he kind of throws his hands up like, Did you see what I just did to the swamp in North Florida? Like what? And to make matters worse, they say, by the way, go ahead and toss an island green at us again. And that's where you understand why Neil Diamond doesn't always want to sing Sweet Caroline, because it does get watered down and it loses a little bit of its luster. So what does he do? He lengthens it. He makes an elevated tee, and he puts rocks around it instead of railroad ties. Bada bing, bada boom. You've got your island in the West. It's not as iconic, and I don't think anything ever will be. You think about the 7th at Pebble is fun, and it's right on the coast, so it's a pretty view. The 12th at Augusta National means so freaking much. But to me,
it's just such a unique green, the way that thing is laid out. It's like just a freaking snake, basically.
I'm a snake. You remember that? You saw that guy? Yes. That was you, wasn't it? but nothing touches the 17th at Ponte Vedra. Everybody knows I'm biased about that. So it's going to be a fun week, though. I mean, the scores you never know. The weather's going to be cold. It's going to be chilly. I really do. Those are the things that I kind of take into account. I've been doing a little bit of research on greens, and by research, I mean having a conversation with Chat GPT and Google, and just basically looking at the difference between Bermuda and bent grass, because we're coming up on my favorite season where we get to say like Papoa and Nunuera Papoa, but basically Poa and Nunuera or whatever.
It's all about the grain, they say. All about the grain.
Well, it's on the grain, and it's all about the grain and the Bermuda, but Poa is just bumpy. It's just bumpy. It's never going to be flat. If you watch Tiger's putt from Torrey in 2008, shouts my uncle was on the green and got some good photographs of it. You see that thing just bouncing all the way. When we get a little further up the West Coast swing, we'll talk about those greens and those local boys. But this week, I would say look for some studs. Look for the cream to rise to the top. Leverage is going to be tough. You might have to eat a little bit of chalk this week, because when you have a course like PGA West, the stadium course, it's going to separate a little bit. Andrew, you made a good point earlier. 54-hole cut makes it intriguing, you know, because if you can get somebody who is just a birdie maker left and right, who cares if they shoot 80 on the last day, because it's not going to hurt you as bad as somebody who he was going to miss the cut. So that third round, just it's like 100% more birdies. So
and I'm keeping it simple as far as like what I'm looking at for plays this week. The mentality I'm going into this tournament this week is, what are the stats that are going to transfer no matter the course type, basically? What are your kind of core go-to stats that no matter how hard of a course it is or how easy of a course, you're still going to have to do? And yes, La Quinta and the tournament course, not terribly unforgiving in the rough. It's not, the fairways aren't very it's not that they're inaccessible, but obviously the stadium courses, it's more about getting in the fairways. But because of that, fairways driving accuracy is still something that's going to translate across the course no matter what. Putting, this is notoriously I forget who said it last year. Was it Rahm who said it last year, that this is a putting contest, basically, is what it turned into? I think it was Rahm who said that. So
it was Rahm. I'd go into my Sergio voice for him there, because he was being a little pissy about it. But
but it's true. Like, putting is going to translate no matter what to all three of these courses. Driving accuracy is going to translate. Strokes gained approach is always in my key stats. It's just too important of a stat. So when you put all three of those stats right there together, that's going to make up a good hole no matter what. So you hit all three of those, you're golden. DK points, and then the other one that I'm going for is that you mentioned birdie makers. What I'm actually looking for that I think is going to be more important to translating between all three of these courses is bogey avoiders, because I want to avoid that one round on the one of those three courses that is, like you said, that 80 round, that detrimental kind of backbreaker round. I want to avoid that. I want someone to just get to that final round.
That's so funny, because I would say that my key three, and I think we can go ahead and just put it in the book. Strokes gained approach. You and I both it's the flag that we fly. It's the foundation we build upon. It is the best.
Of that.
We really it really should. There's an app for that. See the APP. See what I did there with strokes gained approach. No, but it really is. That's the statistical equivalent of just when people say good form. What kind of form are you in right now?
Exactly. They're always mostly talking about your iron play.
Right. For the most part. So, are you putting yourself in position to score? And so I'm leading off with that. I didn't really consider I didn't consider it the way you did, but I'm going with strokes gained short game this week. And for the reasons that if you're not putting yourself in a position to score, how many times are you getting up and down? How many times are you holing out? Like, how many strokes are you actually gaining with your short game off the green? And I'm kind of walking away from putting this week, because as you said too, it's going to turn into a putting contest. And so, as you know, my theory on putting, at any given moment, the 187,000th ranked putter in the world can string together, can get hot for 3-4 days. Like, putting is something that I genuinely believe can click like that. And so I don't necessarily plug it in. I do use it as kind of a tiebreaker or difference maker, but I'm going to go approach, short game, and then instead of bogeys, that's where I went with birdies are better, because it is a birdie fest. So who's out there keeping themselves in the game with their short game, setting themselves up for success with their approaches, and then capitalizing that with birdies are better. Back to you in the studio.
No, fair enough. I don't disagree with any of those points, honestly.
No.
I actually just decided to take out the DK points as one of my main ones and switched it to short game because I did really like that argument you made for the short game. So I'm switching in strokes gained short game over DK points because I think that is going to be more important than DK points in general as far as picking a winner.
You gonna make it, champ? Are you gonna make it the weekend?
This is the part of my body that's not meant for New England. I was so excited when it snowed yesterday because I thought finally my allergies are going to kick down after we had like a week of 60-degree weather. And then what happens today? The day after we have snow, it's like 55 degrees. And so, yay for me. I'm going to pop another cough drop as we dig into some of our favorites this week. Because, look, you mentioned probably needing to eat some chalk this week. And I don't disagree with you. I think this is going to be one of those tournaments where you're going to need some of the top guys. It does come down to picking the right top guy. But I've identified quite a bit of favorites I like in the 6K range this week that I think is going to allow us to eat some of that chalk, get to the top of the price points here. So I'll be curious as we go through these tiers what we come up with. But I think it's possible to get a 10K and a 9K guy in there this week. Are you noticing any trends with what the research you did while I pop this cough drop?
While I pop this cough drop. Is that never mind? I'm not going to make any stupid juvenile jokes, although I should. No, actually, I'll tell you the truth. I didn't even get down into the 6K too much, knowing that there is a lot of meat up top, and I just don't see somebody jumping up from down there. Maybe David Lingmerth, just because that's another one of those names where you hear it a lot, so you act like you've been there. Charlie Hoffman, sorry, we're not playing the Waste Management, so I don't see him. So let's start in reverse. I would love to hear your thoughts on the 6K guys and build up. I mean, I do see some names down here that I always like on a flyer. Doug Gim is one of those. Oh, could have been a star. Rock. Davis Thompson, go Dogs. Davis Thompson is a former UGA player. He's still pretty fresh on the scene, so look for him to pop. Adam Long is basically a roller coaster every year. So Jimmy Hahn down there. Stuart Sink seems to find lightning in a bottle, but he usually finds it in New Jersey or Florida. So I just don't see it. But at the same time, I could be persuaded to drop like a Sam Ryder or maybe even like a Dylan Fratelli. I just wanted to say that because I think it's obnoxious how people refer to others as like, he's more of like an Odell Beckham type. I mean, so preach, enlighten me on the 6K range.
All right, because I gotta redo adding the strokes gained short game here real fast. But I can tell you right now, I got at least 4 guys down there that I think, like, once again, when we get into the 6K, I'm not banking my lineup on these guys, but
that's why I'm not even calling this like a pick or a fade. There's nobody down there. I'm fading 6K. But like you said, if you feel good about 5 and you're like, shit, can I, is there somebody down there in 62, 64, 6,500 that can kind of help me out here? Talk to me, Goose.
Yeah. So one guy that I probably a little known name is Justin Lower. Yeah. Justin Lower. So he ranks 18th in my model this week. He's 3rd in putting, 16th in short game. He's, hits fairways about average for this field. Same thing with bogeys avoided, strokes gained approach. So for 6,800, like that's the type of guy that he's proven he can get hot with the putter. He's proven he can get up and down from, as you said, in those short distances. And he's average on everything else. That's a guy who is most likely going to go very under-owned and could definitely make that we're not going to say the weekend because that's not the case this week, but couldn't definitely make that push into that final day. And another guy at 6,600 that I like this week is Ryan Armour. Second in driving accuracy and fairways gained. He's 41st in approach, 50th in short game, 50th in putting. So like nothing like obviously the second in fairways is what's pushing him up my rankings to be 10th in my model. But like once again, everything else is top 50. And for 6,600, that's the exact type of shot in the dark I'm going to take in order to get potentially, a lineup with, say, John Rahm and, Sungjae Im or Tony Finau and Aaron Wise, like something like that, where these 9 and 10K guys, if I want 2 of those, I got to take a shot on someone down there. And those are a couple of guys that I've identified. And then don't forget about Aaron Badley, who finished, I think it was 7th last week. It's like every now and then he shows up. He's honestly not like necessarily popping in my model, but he's in good form right now. He doesn't make a lot of bogeys. He's middle of the field and everything else. He is 27th in the short game, so you're kind of hoping to maybe ride his form. He might go a little bit higher on considering his performance last week, finished in top 10, but at 6,600, that's another guy you could do.
Listen, I could do some Aaron Badley. So we're gonna start with Aaron Badley real quick, and just because I like to say that name Badley, Aaron Badley is first team all hair. If you Google this man and PGA Tour, there's only a couple. Of course, his Wikipedia page, it's short hair. That's got to be like grandma or somebody editing that, because everything else he's got locks for days. And I'm a big Aaron Badley guy. He's up there with Smiley Kaufman and just like some names from the past that for different reasons I love. Do you see Smiley's part of the CBS or the NBC team now?
I did not see that. No, good for him.
Do you have any idea who Smiley Kaufman like is, or why he's like kind of known? Okay, yeah, he's part of that like bro crowd that went to the Bahamas with Ricky and JT and all them.
Exactly.
So Aaron Badley shouts to Team Hair. Justin Lauer, though, or are the first one you brought up?
Did I say wrong? Is it Lauer or Lower? Because it's spelt like just Lower. So I
have no idea. Until he wins, it's Lower. Yeah. Mike Lowry, Justin Lower ranked 28th on my model, and that jumps out to me. So I just put a little star next to his name, a little asterisk. We might come back to him and visit that at a later date if needs be. So again, I don't really have anybody I'm going to fade or like talk shit about in the 6K range. No, but I do think that, and is he even the highest ranked? No, I see Chesson Hadley is higher on mine, but I'm not about to. No, I've been snake bit. So I kind of like that. All right. So there's some 6K love down there. There's some flexibility. 6K. Yeah.
And the 7K, I mean, we'll get to the 7K range in a more traditional fashion, but that's nothing to sleep on either. So what we're trying to get to here is that there's options to afford the guys you want up top. You can make it happen.
So what's the more traditional fashion? Let's not leave the people waiting.
Well, the way we usually do is like, well, let's start at the top. Let's start in the 10K range.
Okay.
We want to talk about, we definitely want to give the people, the guys to not waste their time on up here, which sounds so harsh, but there's guys you're going to want to fade for the price given the other guys around them. And that's what when you're at the top of the price range, that's what it comes down to. It doesn't mean these guys aren't going to finish top 10, top 5, or even win. But when you're in the 10K range and in the 9K range, you're really balancing out ownership with price and return. Like this, you just have to. You can't afford everybody. You got to pick the right guy that's going to get you the best bang for your buck to be able to fill out the rest of your lineup. Because there's no point in paying up for both Jon Rahm and Tony Finau if then the rest of your lineup is all 6K guys. Because then you could very well just end up with a 2 of 6 lineup, and that's going to get you nowhere on as far as making money. So, my top guy this week in the 10K range, I'm going to go with Tony Finau. Him and Rahm are easily the two best playing the best golf right now on tour in the world. But I'm going to go Tony Finau here just because he plays smart. He really doesn't make many mistakes right now as far as bogeys. He's a great putter, great act. Like he's just topping everything pretty much. And at 10,200, the third highest on here, I'll take the pay savings. I'm compared to 600 more for Jon Rahm. Tony Finau is an easy go-to over Rahm for me there.
Well, I'll see your Tony and agree with you for different reasons. As a matter of fact, it really Jon Rahm for me this week doesn't rank out well. He doesn't for me either. And it makes sense because not that he's streaky, but I mean, and he is hot right now. But Tony Finau won in Houston in November. Top 10 in Century, and then he's had a week off, comes back stateside. So I just looked at Big T getting her done out in the desert because this is not a challenging spot. So as long as everything's clicking, which all signs and all statistics point to yes, I'm taking a big fat divot into some Tony Finau. And I'm gonna go ahead and keep the talking stick, shocker, and tell you who my fade is. It's always hard to find a fade in the 10K range because there's a reason those guys are up there in the 10K. So,
like I said, it's all the fades up here are all about who's gonna get you, no leverage. Like, who's going to be too high owned for what they're like? It's all about that type of stuff.
And see, I don't even, and again, I'm not too concerned about leverage this week because of the 3 rounds.
Sure.
Right. If you can have a guy who just, what if somebody shoots 59 on Saturday? They got blessed with a 3rd round. They shoot 59, then all of a sudden they get a 4th round. So I don't worry too much about it, which to me, then I'm splicing hairs like John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler, Tony Finau. It's hard to pass in any of them. So I do say fade Xander Schauffele this week, just because he had the withdraw for physical reasons. And
I need to see what his back looks like first.
Right. We saw it with
the same thing with Will. It's all that, especially back injuries and golf.
Will, I'm not taking him this week. We'll go ahead and get into the 9K here in a second. And he's not a fade. I'm not saying fade him. I'm just not, with one of my with some love this week in the 9K. But Willie Z seems to be all signs point to the back's fine. Everything's fine. He made some adjustments with his mechanics that was putting the pressure on his low back, and apparently didn't lose anything else. Needs some whatever he's smoking help with my back. But until Xander Schauffele shows a little bit, I think at any given moment, tweak, and then he's out, and you're screwed. So
100% with you on that.
Hopping down to the 9. Are you eating Cheerios right now?
No, it's my cough drop just broke in my mouth, so I'm trying to get rid of it quietly without choking.
I'm still a child. You said in my mouth, and I thought too many things. Not about your mouth, in your endo. No, let's talk
in my where?
In your endo. In the let's get down to the 9K range, and he ranks 4th on my list, and he ranks bottom of the 9K price range, and that's Aaron Weiss.
Yep.
And I'm going to take him.
I'm there with you. He's 7th in my model, but we're right there together.
Yeah, it's been 5 years since he won 2018. And if you haven't seen the video of him getting stood up, basically getting friend zoned by his girlfriend, it's hilarious. You feel for the guy. It's kind of like, wait, what? And then it makes you wonder, where was she? Did you hear about the police scandal out of Tennessee?
No, I have not.
It's a golf show, so we won't look it up after the show. Okay. There's a police. I don't know the town, but I believe it's in Tennessee. And sounds like there's some extracurricular activities going on between one lady officer and several other officers.
One of those. Okay, one of those situations. Gotcha.
Okay. Both on and off the clock, both in and out of the cell block, and to
bring it back to Aaron Wise.
God bless. So he got friend zoned, but apparently they worked everything out.
Well, Aaron Wise hasn't gained less than, as far as strokes gained, he hasn't gained less than 21 strokes since November in a tournament. He hasn't finished worse than T22 in his last 4 appearances. Yeah. 100. I'm right there with Aaron Wise. I had him started to. I think he might make my lineup. We'll see how it all plays out with the money with the other guys I get in there. But I think at 9K he should be easy enough to squeeze in for sure. Another 9K. I don't think you can get through the 9K range at the top of the 9K range without mentioning Sungjae Im right now. He's in great form. He's probably going to be higher owned as a pivot play out of the 10K range, honestly. So I'm not sure I'm going to have a ton of exposure to him, but I don't see him slowing down in this play this week. He's been pretty consistent on his strokes gained. I know he missed the cut last week, but before that he was playing pretty good. So Sungjae Im, I think, could be in for a good rebound here. He's actually only projected about 13-14% ownership right now. So that ain't bad for that price. Like I said, he's not going to be someone I'm going to have a ton of ownership on, but when it comes to this range, he's someone that I think is worth a look to bounce back after missing the cut this past week.
Why does Sam Burns rank really high? But I'm just like,
I don't know, because he doesn't rank very high for me. He's 42nd in my model.
I don't know.
Which actually makes sense, because in the 2 stats that I'm using that you're not, the fairways gained and the bogeys avoided, that's where he's awful in.
Yeah, there you go. And that's probably just in my gut that I'm like, this is not some place that I think he's going to be the one that goes out and shoots 59 or some bullshit. No, I'll tell you actually, I don't disagree at all with the Sungjae. I'm not going to fight you on Sungjae. I like him a lot just in general. Somebody who I am going to say, if you're thinking of lightning in a bottle or going back to back, Siwoo Kim, I would fade hard. Two reasons. A, the whole hangover. It's hard to win a national championship. It's really hard to win 2 national championships back to back, especially in college football these days. Sorry, wrong sport. It's hard to win on this tour. It's hard to go back to back unless you are a Rory, a John Rahm, Scotty Scheffler. Siwoo flirted with that level. You know, he won the Players when he was younger. He won early and often, and then just kind of faded away. And I'd last week was great. Good to see him back on the rise. Watch out for him later. He is the kind of player that when he gets reminded that he has this level, this gear, you never know. Because he even openly talked about how he referred to his win at the Players as a 5th major. You know, I won that 5th major, and they have that reverence for it. I would just say because his short game, stay away from him this week. He, like the die course is too hard. You got to be there twice, and if you get the wrong weather, game over. So
yeah, he's definitely a fade for me as well. I think he ranks 40th in my model, looks like. So yeah, him and also Cameron Young right there below him, another fade in the 9K range. I'm not touching either of those guys this week.
I was just looking at that about how he's another one. He's like Sam Burns for me, where he's good and rookie of the year last year. But
for the price this week, he's just not going to do it for me. Considering Brian Harmon, who's playing good, is also in that range. Even Ju Young Kim. There's enough guys in the 9K range where I don't need to touch Siwoo Kim and Cameron Young. I don't need to take that risk with them. But that does get us down into the 8K range, where one of my favorite plays this week, Andrew Putnam, ranks 2nd in my model at 8,700. I like it. I mean, he's 2nd in putting, 2nd in bogeys avoided, 29th in accuracy. He's 1st in short game, strokes gained short game. Yes, he's only 66th in strokes gained approach in the field. But Andrew Putnam, let me look at how he's been playing. He finished 4th last week, 21st before that. So he has a run now of he's 5 straight cuts in a row at least. That's all my screen is showing me up to, but at least 5 straight cuts made. All top 50 finishes as well. So Andrew Putnam at 8,700 this week feels like a big play for me. And at only 13% projected ownership, I'll take that.
All right, ownership, schmonership.
Andrew, it's one of my favorite things to look at.
Andrew, every once in a while this happens, and it's happened to me. I have fallen in love. It's real. And
yeah, you have a lot. I already know what you're going to say because you have a love affair with this guy.
Well, I don't know. I've listen. I'm looking at this 8K range, and I've been in love with a couple of times actually, and I've had my heart broken
very recently with one of them.
Right? No, but he's tall. He's baby face. He's from Australia. Cam Davis is. Not only am I going with Cam this week, I will probably ride the Cam train as a major pick. Throughout the year too. I think his game is on the cusp. Him and Tom Kim are 2 of those international stars, and that's who, by the way, Ju Young. I think earlier you were referencing that's Tom Kim, which I had to look that up because I was like, wait a minute, is that Tom Kim? Yes, Tom Kim. Which let's see here or there. A lot of Asian.
The screen I had open had it read out that way, so that's the one I went with.
No, it hasn't read out like that. Me hearing on DraftKings too. When I taught middle school, I had a ton of Asian students. A lot of their parents were professors at UF, and my role was a lot of names like that where I would do my best to pronounce it and everything like that. And they all would tell us about like, oh no, we got to pick our own American names, So I'm Sarah, and I'm like, can I try to say your name? And they're like, you can, but just I'm gonna go by Sarah. And I'm like, all right, cool, never mind. All right, Sarah. So. Cameron makes it easy. He's a Commonwealth guy from Australia. So Cam Davis, 8K range, lock it in. Not only is he going to make the cut, he's gonna win a couple times this year.
Hey, I don't disagree that his game is on the cusp. I'm not necessarily going his way this week, but I don't disagree with Cameron Davis being a thing this year as a whole. So I'm there for that. What was that?
That's just not going to be a thing.
I will say the person that I am fading in the 8K range this week, I am going to fade your boy Sahith Theegala this week. I'm just going to stay away. And he's not necessarily – it's not like a big-time fade here, but it's a guy that the two of us in the past have enjoyed playing. So
I love him. I love him.
And he's usually a pretty good value play. He's starting to rise in pricing. 8,600 feels like a lot for him for this week specifically.
That's my point.
That's why I'm gonna resist it and I'm gonna stay away from it. I also just don't think he's gonna have necessarily a great week. So Sahith Theegala is gonna be my my 8K range fade.
8K range. You know what? 8K range fade would be a great band name.
8K range fade.
like one of those dumbass what's his name? Who's the Peter Jacobson? He's got his Tommy Bahama and the Fish or whatever the hell his band name is, which I do think is fun. And I would go, if I was
sure.
I wouldn't pay money to see it, but they're around.
No, but if they were just playing somewhere you happen to be, you'd stick around.
I mean, yes. All right. 7K. We already talked about the 6K, and you're smarter than I am because you went dumpster diving and I just, ran right over it. Let's get through 7K real quick because then we got some tea to spill and I got some questions to ask.
Perfect. So 7K range real fast. Someone I'm looking at 7,900 is Justin Rose. He tends to do decent at these pro-ams for some reason. He's a notorious good putter, so I'll take a shot at him in this range, as well as Brendan Todd actually ranks top 10 in my model this week in the 7K range at 7,500. 8th in putting, 4th in strokes gained, short game, 12th in driving accuracy. So Brendan Todd is a guy who, if he continues this trend of finding the fairway, he could show up and show out and get you to that Sunday finish. He finished 21st last week. He had a T7 at the CJ Cup a while back. So he's positive strokes gained all the way back to September of last year. So he's in decent form for himself. Those are two guys that I'm looking at in the 7K range. And the only other guy I'd say that I'm willing to put out there is someone that I would be targeting the 7K range that ranks pretty high in my model at 14th is Ben Taylor at 7K exactly on the dot. He ranks out 14th in my model this week. Ben Taylor, hold on, I just lost. Where did he just go? What the hell? I just had what he's done recently on my screen here, and now I cannot find it. So, here he is, Ben Taylor right here. He finished 4th last week, 21st at the RSM, 3rd at the Houston Open. So Ben Taylor is someone who might surprise some people, and he's sub 10% ownership as well.
Justin Rose caught my eye. You are right. He's one of those players because he's a true pro. He's the nicer version of Ian Poulter.
That's so true. It's a great way to put it. He's also the shorter version, but he's a pro. Low hanging fruit. Yes. These kind like a Honda Classic or a Travelers Championship or an American Express. Because you consider. Well, I actually kind of teased where we're going to pivot from here, anyways. But he caught my eye, but at 7,900, I can't shell out that kind for him. Either Rosie is firing on all cylinders and he's going to be in that 8K range and he's a vet that you feel good about, or go away. Unfortunately, he's going to come out of nowhere and fucking win this week, and I'm going to have to eat crow. I'm fading Brendan Todd. Okay, interesting. Okay,
he ranks 11th in my model, and I think I'm fading him out of spite. Because of how many times I've flip-flopped on him. So every time I fade him or every time I talk shit about him, he comes out and he's like top 10 by the end of day 2. And you're like texting me like, Brendan Todd, how about them dogs? There's a guy's name that really jumped out at me just because I saw it as a couple of dark horse pick, Callum Tatum, that stuck out. I didn't really look too much into it, but David Lipsky, 13% ownership, which down here I will splice some hairs with ownership from ownership.
Yeah, sure.
But coming off a strong finish, I say strong finish. He had a Sunday, but a couple days removed. Sometimes you look back and you're like, holy shit, I just finished T2 or top 10 in a major event, and we're back at a couple more of these. couple more of these couple more of these resort courses where I'm going to start throwing some more darts and, maybe catch lightning in a bottle. So living on Lipsky this week, and hopefully this weekend. Speaking of
another T-shirt right there, living on Lipsky.
When he wins, I like
that one.
When he wins,
yeah, I'm a fan of that.
So we talked about Justin Rose, and I said that he's like the nice Ian Poulter. And have you seen the trailer? I mean, we're gonna have to rewrite the show for a few months to set aside a solid. I don't know if they're gonna roll out this full swing documentary series on Netflix. They got to be doing it weekly. They're not gonna drop the whole thing. That's just too much. Just balls everywhere in your face. But I liked seeing that Polt's got a little cheeky. He's the personality you want on there. Somebody who's not going to be on there, but who's also going to be missing from this week is defending champion, friend of the show, Hudson Swafford. He is live guy, so he can't defend. We saw this at Tournament of Champions with Cam Smith. We're seeing it this week with Hud. I don't know. He's probably going to be out hunting somewhere or prepping for Liv's first event that's going to be coming up soon. So I gotta know. Are you all in? I mean, this is the dumbest and the biggest layup in the history of Divot or Pivot, which is all of 3 weeks old, but Divot or Pivot on Netflix's Full Swing. This is a two-parter.
So I haven't seen the trailer, but I'm already a Divot on it for sure. Like you said, it's a layup, slam dunk. I'm gonna put aside time to watch.
It's homework. It's homework for you, for me. It's homework for everybody. It's
exactly, and just as golf fans, like anytime you get to look behind the caddy, I guess you can say. It's interesting.
This is the closest thing since MJ's The Last Dance that is like documentary style. I mean, F1, the Drive to Survive or whatever the fuck that was.
Yeah.
That didn't come with a built-in audience. That blew up, right? That exploded the F1 audience. And I do think that this is going to grow golf a scotch. But I think you have a massive domestic and international golf audience built in. You layer on top of that the live stuff. I'm all freaking in. Like guys, like this is Beaver Pelt City of Divots. The follow-up on this though is the name Full Swing. Divot or Pivot on Full Swing.
It is a little bit of a weak name. I feel in it. So you know what I think like I said, I hadn't seen the trailer. I haven't even heard the name until right now. So this is full, instant reaction for me. My instant reaction when you said Full Swing, I said, okay, it makes sense. And then like within seconds of thinking, I said, how uncreative. It's just, I feel you could have come up with something better.
Yeah.
Right.
I would.
I don't know what right now. Like I'm trying to quickly think of something more creative, but I feel like Full Swing is, I don't know.
Well, let's put it this way. People who get paid a lot more money than you or I probably sat around for a long time, and they still came out with the title of an 8th grade project for the audio visual club that, followed around. I don't know. I think with all the drama, with the live, with the kind of almost divorcing, action going on, the tension. I think you could have still gone the punny route, because I will never turn my nose up at a pun. You can't, but I think you could have had more fun with it. I mean,
if it's going to be drama filled, then like you said, play into the pun. Why not something like off the tee, but T spelt like TEA? Like, you know what I mean? Let's, like play into the stupid. I hate the new that's a thing right now, but it is a thing. Play into what the culture is right now. People always talk about sipping tea. I mean, hell, we use it on this show.
I was literally going to say one of the segments that we've done before is called Tea Time. That's what I'm talking about. That would have been a great one, Tea Time, because
then we could have charged them for it.
Well, that's going to be the allure of all this. I think that they, and I can't wait, man. By the way, a quick pivot back to The Last Dance. I can't wait for the Tiger equivalent to come out, which I don't know if it ever will while he's alive, because I don't think I know he's as excellent and whatever, but I don't know if he's as fucking mean as MJ or spiteful.
He doesn't. I think there was a period of time where he was at his lowest, where he would have been. I think he's past that now. And anything you see of him now, he genuinely seems to be enjoying life as a golfer, life in general. Like, he looks too happy now to be going off on and spilling dirt on people and telling all the nitty gritty stories that people would want to hear. But there was definitely a time where I think he would have just went, I'm gonna burn it all down.
All right, so we're divoting on. We're obviously that's the dumbest divot ever. So here's a little more difficult one because I got to know they're out west. They're in the Coachella Valley. Divot or pivot? Coachella Music Festival or music festivals in general? Divot or pivot? Where do you stand on that?
I'm out on music festivals for myself. That's a pivot for me. There was a day back in high school where I would have been all about it. Where I would frequent the Warped Tours or the Taste of Chaos, like that stuff. But I'm beyond those days. Like if I want to go to a concert, I'm going to see one specific band or singer and whoever's opening for them, and then I'm going home and I'm going to bed.
Who are you going to see? What's getting you out of the house this weekend? If somebody's like, "Hey, bro, I got tickets on me, let's go." Who is it?
Oh, geez, I need to be prepared for that question. I haven't even thought about concerts in so long. I can't even.
Come on, that's the point. Killers. That's who mine would be. Just because I got
okay.
Because I missed. They were in Boston recently, and I missed them. Last time, so I'd go see the Killers. They're not a bucket list, but I mean that's like yeah, I'd go check them out. Other than that, the last concert I saw was a Post Malone concert during COVID, and it wasn't even a concert. He did a live Nirvana tribute concert. It was like 2.5 hours long. Oh, dude, if you've never seen this before, you got to Google it. He basically him and a couple of his buddies are in his basement wearing muumuus. But they did, I think, 10 Nirvana covers. Travis Barker from Blink-182 was on drums. Yep. Post Malone, doing his thing. I can't remember the name of the bassist, but super famous guy. That's actually probably his legit name.
Super
but
that's
that's the closest, man. I got a kid. I'm not going to a concert. Old Man River over here. But like you, I too, in my younger days, my first concert without my parents, my first concert was Barry Manilow with my parents. That's a different conversation for a different day. But first was with my friends. I was 15 years old, and it was the Warped Tour or Horde Tour. Horde. It was Horde.
Was it Horde still then? Okay.
Yes. No, they're different. I think Warped was.
Oh, I thought you were saying like that. Because I hadn't heard of Horde Tour, so I thought, okay.
No, Horde was like the soft version. So this was like Fastball, Bare Naked Ladies. The guy who's Bare Naked Ladies, Fastball, Blues Traveler, Jack Johnson, Ben Harper, and somebody else. I was 15 years old and had no business. This was in Live Oak, Florida, in the middle of a gigantic field. 15 with a fake ID. Statute of limitations ran on that, but as of right now, hell no. I'm pivoting hard for music festivals. I don't need that much. I don't need to spend that much money. Boston Calling comes every year, and I see the lineup. I'm like, whoa, that looks dope. And I'm like, whoa, that looks like a mortgage payment. So I opt out.
Like a headache. Man, we sound like such like freaking old curmudgeons right now. I'm not gonna go to a concert.
No, you got to embrace the suck. And it's not even the suck. You got to just embrace the life. Coachella, that was the other one. Last but certainly not least, you mentioned it earlier. Where do you stand on snow as a New Englander? Divot or pivot on snow?
Well, right now my current attitude is either snow or don't. My body needs the weather to decide if it's winter or spring at this point. Because
is this more old man speak? What's going on?
I need to stop coughing. It's driving me nuts. I can't breathe. I have asthma, and it's seasonal asthma. So like when the weather changes like this drastically within days, it sets me off. So yes, it's a little old manish. But no, look, I am even outside of that. Like if I'm going to be here in New England for winter, I want it to be a winter. I want snow. I don't want the rainy, slushy, cold winter that's just a messy bitch of weather. Like if it's going to snow, give me the 1 foot snowstorms, the 2 foot snow. Like I want it to really snow. Snow or don't. Should have get off the pot.
Yeah.
A or B, black and white, whatever you want to say. Winter or spring, I don't care. Just pick one.
A or B, black or white. If you're not bringing more than 6 inches, Andrew doesn't want to have anything to do with you. I'm big on snow. I grew up in the South. I didn't have it. My parents are from Michigan. I love it. I think there's more to do outside. You can have more fun in the snow than you can the equivalent. Again, I grew up in Florida. When it's $120 outside and humid, people aren't like gearing up. People aren't even going to the beach at that point. But when there's a blizzard going on outside, people are just waiting for the wind to die down so they go out and play. Like it's
that's the real thing. Once it's not windy, it's really not too bad outside.
Yeah, it's not the heat, it's the humidity that's going to get you. Look, we got a couple minutes left, and there was 2 things I just wanted to mention to see. Did you see that TaylorMade is making big moves?
I did not see. What are their big moves?
Well, first of all, that's half the reason why I picked Aaron Weiss. Aaron Weiss was picked up by TaylorMade. He signed this week. It was announced, I think, yesterday through social media. Welcome to Team TaylorMade, which is a huge deal. TaylorMade is branding themselves as not the biggest, most players, but just the cream of the crop, right? And so with Sergio going to Live, it's rumored that TaylorMade was like, "Thanks for the memories, kid." And come on down, Aaron Weiss. But the bigger news is Nelly Corda from the LPGA game is now officially Team TaylorMade. And it's kind of weird when you say it like that. You would think, wait, what? Why is that such a big deal? There are not a ton of lady golfers that have that level of kind of, I would say, exposure and partnership. And I think TaylorMade is doing something here by recognizing it, saying like, well, listen, we got Rory, we got Tiger, we got Colin, we got this, and like, what? We got Nelly. Like I give them another 2 years now. Cobra and Lexi go way back. I don't see them breaking that. Although people thought that, Tiger would never go away from Nike ball or a Titleist ball. So nothing's etched in stone. But no, big news in the game. TaylorMade, they're making waves. And last but certainly not least, oh man, sorry. TGR Mondays, the Monday Night League. Sorry, from Tomorrow Sports or whatever. We were all under the assumption this was coming right after football season, spring of 24.
Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, what happened there? They were when they first announced it, they were pushing January 2023. The hell happened?
Well, then I think they realized they have to build it. They have found the facility for it, so it's gonna be TGR Golf Tour.
They're going to have to promote this right then, because there's going to be the hype's going to really die down by then. Not that there's much hype for it right now anyways, but
dude, I don't see the hype dying down. I mean, when honestly, Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy are the two key investors two key founders of TMROW, whatever sports, which is like the sports group that is producing and putting on this Monday Night League in conjunction with and recognition with the PGA Tour. It's not going under this. It's just going to be quiet while they build this facility. So tune in next week and also check us out on Belly Up for some more golf related news coming up. We'll take you behind the scenes on the new inside, or as close as we can get behind the scenes. It's not like we're gods. We just play them on TV. The new facilities. And don't forget, 3 days. You got 3 days of golf before there's going to be cuts made. It's not the most exciting. I will say that I am an East Coast bias. For me, the season doesn't start till we get to Florida. This still has a preseason NFL feel to me, but I will say this: once we get to Pebble, at least that's kind of like September football. Speaking of, who do you like this weekend? NFL playoffs. And then, why don't you take us home there, Junior? Dear God,
get this man dying. I'm sorry, I can't help but die.
Yeah, get your picks in before you keel over.
Yeah, and real fast as I before I get my picks in, before we run out of time here, as always, shout out Piper.golf, malabrothers.com. Get over there, use discount code DIVPIV. That's DivPiv. And you will get your discount on your purchase there. And make sure if you're on the Mala Bros website, go ahead and get yourself a second ball All-American, with the logo of Divots and Pivots on it. Go get those out. Tons of colors. Great shirt. Bud and I own a ton of them. So go check that out. Look, first of all, what the Jaguars did this past week, there you go. Bud's got the Piper hat rocking on top of the headphones, looking goofy as all hell, but love it.
Dude,
the Jaguars this week.
I'm on the Trevor train. Let's go.
So here's they're not going to beat the Chiefs. I'm going to start there. I'm not picking the Jaguars, but it needs to be mentioned what happened this past week, because everyone's was hating on Trevor's, rightfully so, his first quarter, atrocious with all the interceptions. What Trevor showed me, though, the mental fortitude he had to stick with that game, to turn it around and to lead his team to victory, that's something that it takes a young quarterback in the NFL like him years to develop. The fact that he's got that now, especially coming off of a year last year with Urban freaking Meyer as the coach and that disaster, the fact that he's got that mental edge to where he's all year long, even when things were going wrong. Look, even when things were going terribly wrong with Urban Meyer last year, we never heard Trevor Lawrence complain. He just kept everything, whatever was happening as far as complaining in-house with the team, with the coaches, whatever. It's not for us to know. Publicly and on the field, he was cool. We saw that again. He's got the right head on his shoulders to be a successful NFL quarterback. We know he has the talent. It's now just all about putting it together consistently as far as the speed of the NFL. Mad respect for Trevor Lawrence after this weekend.
4 picks and he keeps chucking it. And it's kind of like when Steph Curry misses his first 8 or 9 threes and people go, why is he still shooting? Because he knows he's Steph Curry. He knows he's Trevor Lawrence. They know how good they are. And to put it into golf terms, that's when, the difference between amateurs and scratch golfers, and then even scratch and pros, levels and levels is, and I would say it, you go out there. I made a 10 on the first hole of the Mass Public Links qualifier last year, missed the cut by 1. Yep. And it's because I knew the course I was playing, and I knew if I honestly 17 holes left, I really just a couple of birdies, you get yourself in position. Not saying that I'm Trevor Lawrence or anything, but that's immediately what I started thinking about was like the golfer who doesn't let the triple get to them, or these pros who can follow a double bogey with a birdie kind of run because they know that they've got that gear. So I agree. I think that was a special that was a fun thing to watch. I loved that these games, with the exception of Brady's farewell, were all kind of one score, definitely worth watching. It proves that the formula worked. They kind of got it right. It looks like, each, as opposed to the college football championship, which I don't know if you heard Georgia won.
No, geez,
and so I'm looking forward to it. I'm bittersweet on it. But all I know is that as soon as the sun sets on the NFL, it rises on golf. And that's when, things really start humming for us. So there's going to be a lot of fun stuff coming your way. The Live Tour is coming back to Boston. Hopefully we'll see them. Boudreaux's quest for qualification. We'll keep you posted on that. We've got our season-long run of DK, glory between the two of us, and a lot more fun announcements and developments coming your way. So I'm going to say one more time, thank you to Fantasy National, Piper, Mahler Bros, and the team at Belly Up for letting us do our thing every single week. Andrew, back to you in the studio.
Yeah, I mean, look, you said it perfectly. There's not much else to say. So, yes, reminder, this is a Belly Up production. Our gracious partners, Belly Up Media, love them as always. They make all this possible for us. So, you will never stop hearing about us, hearing us talk about them. I'm jumbling all my words. It's fucking cough. I'm going to blame everything on the cough.
We love you, Belly Up.
I'm going to blame it all on the cough. That's going to do it for us this Tuesday night on Divots and Pivots. We will see you next week for another episode, and we will see if I am able to gain some ground, and it's close enough, or maybe I even take the lead on DK this week. We shall see. We will see you next week. Thanks for joining us.